Y'all, we're just gonna go right into it today. Usually I have the deck already up. It's already loaded. I have it in my little columns and all that. I'm not doing that. I'm just going right into it. It's because I want to blabber about some other things. So I'm just gonna kind of organize and attempt to talk while organizing. Y'all know me. I can't really stay on topic anyway. So good luck for me. Um, we're seeing the meta shape. It's a little quiet. We're talking about that lull period. And what happened is the lull period in Redemption has moved back a little. Usually happens, it used to happen a little earlier, like September, October, November. But now Jay, really put together a lot of things. He's got the TJC, and of course, he's one of the, let's say, original founders of the Lackey Grand Prix. And then a team has since done a tremendous job just keeping that alive. But regardless, that because of those things, we have a little bit more going on in the community from like a gaming perspective, tournaments being played and whatnot. So I feel like the lull period, people do need a breather. Like we have a lot of our heavy tournaments just hit all at the end. Once March hits, it's like March, April, May, June, and we just go right into tournaments. So people just need a little breather after that, and I feel like because the new set comes out, and then it comes out the Lackey, and a lot of people start building, we get just kind of a more quiet time after that. And I'm probably not doing a good job at all because I'm trying to organize. I knew better. So what we're seeing now is the lull period got moved back a little bit. It's just my opinion, and who knows? That might correct itself. I do wonder about the lull period next year because it looks like everything's going to be funded, and from a Roots perspective, and we are going to have a lot of really, really good cards coming out all at once. The plan has been to have Roots in the new set. So you're going to buy the new set. You are going to buy the new set at Nationals, and you're going to have Roots in there, as well as the next set. Making sure I don't slip up and say any names, right? Now's not the time. So it's going to bring in, I will say, Roots 2. I want to be mindful of the word I want to use here. I think it's drastically better than Roots 1. Like, just from a player perspective, I look at it and I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, there's so many good cards. We were a little bit more like just cautious when Roots 1 came out about power level. And this time, it's still like we're making sure the cards are simple, but they're strong. I'm telling you, like the cards in that set are really good. So, it's just going to be an influx of very good cards, and you're going to get the new set, which in my opinion, I think the new set is better than Times to Come from a power level. I kind of want this set and Times to Come to kind of be the standard of power of where we want to be, and just kind of, adjusting, bringing in some new things here and there. So I think that's where we're going to be. What is this reserve? This is nonsense. So I want to use these next two sets as kind of the standard of what sets should be from a power perspective moving forward. Hovering right around there while bringing in new abilities. We got a bunch of new stuff that I've been in the lab thinking of and just gonna bring to the team. So I say all this because I wonder about the lull period next year. how long is that going to be? Because when you just, I mean, Roots 2, we already said the size of it, fully funded. What was it, 224, I believe? Plus a new set. Um, that's a lot of cards. And when people are buying and then it goes into Lackey, um, the amount of decks that open up, we see that huge rush after. Like, all right, let's make as many decks that we see. And lately, with these sets being 129 and kind of focused on a few themes, it's pretty quick, at least to get like a foundational offense and defense and kind of what pieces together. This set won't be like that. There will be a lot more options offensively, bringing in a lot of new things defensively, and just the fact that we have so many different variants now for decks and going into this next set, just the amount of decks that are raised to the next level with this set. A lot of brigades are represented. A couple themes are represented where that they needed help, and then you just tack on Roots. You're not going to be able to create enough decks fast enough. Like, it will take months. We're on January 16th right now, and we don't even know what the best Daniel decks are. And from what I'm seeing and being told is there's very little Babylonians and Persians being played, which is mind-blowing to me. I think Joshua Brown is one of the best decks out there. I think Daniel, Ancient of Days, like once you kind of figure all that out, it's a little bit more complex build. But once you figure that out, I think it is one of the best decks. Mostly because what you can do with the reserve. I see a lot of people using the reserve kind of to help with their deck overall. Of course, that's a stupid statement. But I see how people play with the reserve is that cards are reserve cards, not main deck cards. I want this card in my deck, but I want it later. I don't want it now. Instead of injecting an entire new offense or an entire new defense. Tim does a really good job with this with Concealed Riches. I like doing stuff like this. Like, I know Jaden just used my deck and got whooped by Justin Brown Tower, where it was kind of like a two-piece offense. I don't know. Is it time for Jaden to hang up? He couldn't pilot a deck. I'm just kidding. It was Jaden is one of the greatest players of all time. That was just the ratios were off on that deck. Sometimes it bricks, and when your deck bricks, you gotta change things around. And so what I did was kind of looking at Ancient of Days in general and seeing like what that could do. I have a couple versions of this deck. One being with Burial and Meek Lost Souls, and this one is heavily done with like searching. So like Ancient of Days, Buckler, and Crowd's Choice. So one of those has to come out for Burial, and I go into Meek Lost Souls, and I use Ancient of Days and Burial as just hiding Lost Souls. You bring in Sheol, and you have a couple Babylonians that can underdeck Daniel Lost Souls and protect them. There's just a lot of Guardian going around right now. Yeah, Justin's playing a lot, but Guardian of Your Souls is in a lot of decks. And so I'm kind of veering away from the Burial aspect with Meeks, because you cannot have one dominant stopping one of yours. If they play one dominant and it stops yours, it's like, that hurts, because they get additional value on theirs. And you lost a major block and then some. Like, Burial could be more than one block. So, especially because it's underdeck any number of Meek Lost Souls, and a lot of the stuff is counted as Meeks that comes over to your territory. You just play it and poof, you can block for more than one turn. Ancient of Days can hide Lost Souls. So what I did was I brought in the 3 from Times to Come Daniel Souls instead, to kind of help with my Ancient of Days, to offset my count by not using Daniel Souls, if that makes sense. So a lot of Daniel cards. I don't know what the correct number is. Like I had Sieged in main deck, and I put Nebi's Pride in here instead because it's an interrupt reserve, and have Sieged in reserve now, and to where I can go get it with Henchmen. So I did bring in, like I adjusted that count 1-to-1. You're really trying to maximize on Ancient of Days. You do want 5 or 6 cards for free. It should be like a better Mayhem, but that's because you're creating your whole, like when you drop your hand and play Mayhem, you get 6 cards. You try to get that hand down to 1 or 2 for Mayhem realistically, and like you have a Enhancement or a Dominant in your hand or something, but you want Mayhem to be at minimum of +4. Ancient of Days, you really want that to be, you want it to be right around a 5. For sure you want it to be a +4. So you have to go through, and when people are right now, they're theorizing the number for Ancient of Days. That's fine. That's kind of all you can do unless you're tracking data. And who knows? The only person I think that would do that is Tim. And it's probably the best approach. How many cards do I really need? And it's very simple algorithm for like a, not as complex as the Matthew count, but it would be an algorithm like the Matthew count, where how many cards in my deck for Ancient of Days to hit. I don't think it's as impactful as Matthew because it's just your own deck and you have to build that way. So I don't think we need an algorithm for it, but that's kind of the thought process you need, is if you just go through and you goldfish. That's what we do on this channel, right? We don't actually play Redemption. So we'll go through and shuffle the deck and draw 8, try to get to Ancient of Days. Well, I would probably do that 10 times. And I'll take my little pen and my notepad. How many did Ancient of Days do? I'd probably do that 10 times. Just really quick, shuffle and lackey, go through it. Ancient of Days was 3, it was 5, it was 4, it was 6, it was 3, it was 2. And I would just kind of see what that average is after 10 to give me a good sample. And then if I don't like that average, if it's lower than 4, then I would start adjusting cards in my deck to bring in more. Like, that's not supposed to be that Son of God. That's what happens when you change out decks a bunch. But I would start changing cards in my deck to bring in more Daniel cards, which is what we're going to do super quick. Ta-da! We have a lot of projects going on in the background for Redemption. One thing, like, as you know, we rolled out the 2026 set coming out at Nats. We rolled that out to the team, and it was really good coming out. And we are still in version 0. So what we do is we roll out version 0. Everyone gets in there and just, is the wording right? Is this correct? Is it functional? Does it sound okay? What are you trying to do? What are the ratios you're getting at? And the whole team comes together and kind of sees what has Tyler been doing for the last X amount of months? What's he been working on? And we piece together the set and what it looks like. And from there, once everyone gets a good pass, we then go to version 1. Well, with this set, it came out pretty polished, but we just want to make sure everything's good, and we still are not at version 1 yet. We're still at version 0. This next week, we should be at version 1, and that means we're going to graphics, and we can start playtesting. I would say we're a little behind, but it's such a cleaner set in the past. Every year I try to learn more. I seek advice from the team. Lean on Gabe's expertise. Marcus is phenomenal. Like, we have such a good team. Joe keeps us rooted. Hey, this sounds cool. Were you trying to do this? Hey, this might be a little too strong. This is completely busted. John will come through and give all stuff. Chris and I work together, titles and scriptures and everything. Roy goes through and gives his pass as well. So there's so much expertise and experience on our team that we can really go through and have a good product by version 1. And I know I'm completely off topic right now, but that's what I was saying. I was going to be all over the place for this video. So we're going to start playtesting. While this was happening, I was on the next set, the 2027 set, and that's about 60-ish, 70% done. So I'm working on that set. Simultaneously, the priority above that is Roots 2, and we're finalizing Roots 2. So we will be finalizing Roots 2 this Wednesday, and that'll be ready to go. There's some other exciting things behind the scenes that I can't get into right now, but I think Redemption is in good hands. I think it has a good projection, good future moving forward. So a lot of stuff I'm just excited about, hopeful, and we just, it's in God's hands. So let's get back to the deck. You're going to see a lot of Daniel offenses this year and higher play. Like, it's really good. Right now, which I don't know when I said this on a video, predicted that you're going to see Daniel the Treasured, and then you're going to switch back to the Apocalypsed. And then it's going to come down to which one do I play. If Michael can just top deck everyone at the end, do you need to be protected? Well, yeah, if you top deck all your heroes and lose the battle, that's not great. Michael top decking naturally helps if you're using Burial, Ancient of Days, Meek Lost Souls, and you can just hide your Lost Souls all the time, and then you put 3 or 5 heroes on top of your deck. And if you already have a good board advantage and you can draw a bunch, you're good. The Joshua offense is really, really good still. When people say it's not, these bigger defenses, push out the Joshua Priest, grab Crumbled from a Shout from your reserve, and drop Glory of the Lord when they block. Discard all their evil characters. They can't do anything about it. So there's a lot of really good blocks there, and what I like to do is I still like to dismantle territories, and I still like to have weapons for Buckler to really hit. I love pseudo CBN blocks like, I Am He on Disciples, Buckler, Faith Unbowed. That's just really, really good. It's really hard to stop those. If you're not playing with ROP, regardless of Protect, then you're going to get trounced. If you're playing with New Testament, you better play CBP because you're going to get trounced, like Daniel's going to come in. So trying to go to an offense that just has so many lines of play. And I like to talk about like the boom boom cards, the stuff that takes the opponent off guard, the one-sided counters. So last year, Hate the Light, Undefiled, or Undesirables, Nazareth. We also had Destructive Sin, Confusion of Mind, and Crown of Thorns. All were in my Nationals deck. And those cards are hard to deal with. They take the opponent by surprise. So how do you bring in aspects of that? I think every single deck at Nationals needs to be prepared for Nazareth. I think you should be playing Nazareth in your competitive deck. I think the best strategy is getting out a bunch of hard counters and slapping down Nazi. I think that's just a winning formula. So what we're seeing Harvest Time, like a soul oppression is what I call it, soul oppression state. I've been doing that in Type 2 for years. If it wasn't for misplays, I'd probably do a little better. But I had to play some pretty good people. And if you misplay against them and you play Son of God into Nazareth, then you don't deserve to win. But that is neither here or there, and I still have nightmares. You're going to see Daniel, and if you're playing Daniel, which a lot of guys are right now, and I love it, how do you differentiate yourself? How do you do stuff that just makes your deck better, and not even just better to where it's the opponent is just caught off guard? So I like to put together different reserve packages and use really Michael and Captain's that banding to an OT Angel to piece together parts that are different. I can go Captain, I can draw 1 and go to auto and draw 2, and Captain would already draw 1. I can turn my Buckler and my Bound into Battle. My Bound into Battle is like a resurrection play in this deck. And that's really important. I think Jay said, which card did he talk about? The Long Day. He uses the long day like the resurrection. I use bound in battle like the resurrection. You're already getting the negate evil cards in battle in this offense. For them, you should be. That's why Gabriel has to stay in. Victorious Being can go to him as well, but you need that extra Daniel angel. So I'm getting a negate evil. I'm bringing in an angel, and usually my angels are exchanging or bringing in or banding. And so all of a sudden my bound in battle who brought in one hero is now bring in one hero, draw 3, 4, 5 cards and negate evil cards. Sounds pretty much like the resurrection, like you were trying to toss the next and draw and negate evil cards with Lazzy. So bound in battle is really, really, really good, and I don't see a lot of it. Buckler for the CBN. Glory I like to use on defense. We'll talk about that. I could use it on offense, but this thing has so much firepower. So what I like to do is I eventually go auto, and I bring in like Joshua, and then Joshua can immediately go to a battle winner, and I can get my regardless of protection, which I needed help with. The one thing is I don't have Book of the Covenant and Covenant of Prayer with You Will Remain anymore, and I'll change that real quick. I just need to drop 4 in the Fire, and I like having a Daniel card for Bendigo to just snag like Prayer Over Power to negate and draw CBN. It's also a good toss card against Herods if something happens to Daniel. I love God Is With You. I love Captain Sword right now. Captain Sword in this meta, it was almost in my Nationals deck. It was one of the 3 that were in my maybe pile. I like having one Daniel card for Henchman, and then another card for Storehouse to get as evil. So something needs to come out, and I still need to take something else for Book. And then it's You Will Remain, Covenant with Prayer. What I like to do is slap Moses down. That's one of the boom boom cards that takes him off. They're not expected to just deal with a Moses with all his territory class stuff. I like to play my territory class stuff, slap down Moses, negate all their lost souls that they put down with Harvest Time, negate their territory class stuff, and I can put them into a big battle with auto. I can exchange, have this big CBN band for the most part, and have Moses in there, and that's still really good. Shadrach could come in. He was in my maybe pile because Shadrach can be CBI, and then Moses can be exchanged. I just found it was too niche. So I do need to bring in Book. Book was in here, and then I found it wasn't a Daniel card, and Babylon needed to come in. Ironically, Babylon came in for Book of the Covenant, and I say that because it's ironic, because the whole point is when you have Bab Merchants and Overseer down, your evil capture abilities cannot be prevented. And these are ongoing capture abilities. And then Moses comes down and is an ongoing prevent. So I can put Moses down, and then I can put these guys down. So Moses would prevent, Babylon's down, and then I slap down Merchants and Overseer. What I'm finding right now is I don't have a bounce. So it's really tough for me to like play Moses and stuff. Book of the Covenant helps with Oath of Purity. So realistically, what I probably have to do is do this. And this kind of is, in the mind of how I tweak decks. And I really want this in main deck. But I still need I need a room, I need 2 spots in here at minimum for Covenant with Abraham as another way to get out Joshua or Moses, or to get back auto to go to it. Also, if they reserve a bunch of heroes against Persians, you do want Covenant with Abraham. So I need a spot for Covenant with Abraham, and I do not like just one Covenant with Book of the Covenant. So I would have some other Covenant, and it could be Covenant with Prayer. I really like doing that because I can Storehouse, I can Covenant with Abraham, I can Book of the Covenant, Covenant of Prayer, and I just grabbed Joshua and Joshua's sword. So those are my 2 cards in reserve. and we want C's to go back here. And I like 4 in the fire, but yeah, we need Covenant with Abraham, and we'll go Covenant of Prayer right now, just because it's so versatile. And then Jaden's still running around with Jadua. Jadua is really, really strong. Posties are in a phenomenal spot right now. They just are. We could mess with our Daniel ratio and put Head of Gold in reserve. Let's see what that does. Why am I at... What's off? And you know me, I'll probably just play it at 51. Man, Head of Gold is so good in the main deck too, though. Really is. And then you also have Green Crimson CBP if you ever get in a pinch with Moses. Let's put Head of Gold back in. Head of Gold can be a reserve card. Yeah, that's a lot of enhancements, even for me. Oh, that's why. There it is. I knew something was off. Okay, so now we're at 51 and 10. And that's okay to be at 51 right now. We do have a lot of heroes because we added that extra Eternal Believers as a way to get Ancient of Days. So we do have the 11 heroes. I always tend to play 10. We are heavy enhancements, and I've been saying this year, I think less forts, less artifacts, more enhancements. I think that's a winning formula because you got these large decks. And I know large decks, like, I like the idea of differentiating Type 1 and Type 2 with just having one card. I do like that idea. I think Type 1, Type 2, 2. Like, you should have 2 cards in Type 2, 1 card in Type 1. I think that just makes sense to me. It's just we have so many projects, and it's not just so many projects. It's a lot of cards that we're looking to get into sets this year. And there's not a lot of data. There's really, it's just, hey, we think this is best. So we're trying to make sure that the meta's healthy. Just letting y'all know, stuff's on our agenda. So let's see, I already saved the game, whoopsies. So I'm gonna go into a quick run through of this and just kind of see what this looks like. Now, I have Crowd's Choice, which means I have Ancient of Days. I love getting those Lost Souls out early. I do. There's just so many pieces in this deck that I can just kind of go to whatever I want. I love having bad merchants early. And Idol of Nevi. It's almost like I put this down, go Crowd's Choice into Ancient of Days, and then I can flip over Idol of Nevi and get another evil character after I'm done. So if it is my turn first, if it's not my turn first, I do have a Seized by Babylon that's ROP with a Crowd's Choice if I need to go to anything else, but I would rather just go first. Look at my stars. Okay, create the token, hop it a hop, and put down. You do want to get your hand down just in case, like, hey, if I max out, if I take all 9 cards, what does that look like? So I want to make sure that my hand can support that, and then I can go ahead and play Crowd's Choice as good. And what we could have done too is we could go, before we even play Crowd's Choice, we can go Daniel's Guardian to Daniel to Eternal Believers and keep our Crowd's Choice for something else. And I think that's the better play. And if we're going to do that, and before we attack, we want to put down merchants, because if they block with like an Amalekite slave, and they do a search, and then they flip it into a human, I have that pending capture, and I get to capture their human, not in territory, their human to a land of bondage. So if they come out and they search turn one and it goes to a human, a lot of people could forget that that triggers. We haven't seen merchants in a while. That triggers merchants, and boom, you're gone. So I think from here, if I crowd's choice into like captain, then I get a draw two. I have captain. I put down Lord's Army. I go to captain. I go captain to Daniel's Guardian to Eternal Believers. That's big. There's just a lot you can do here. I know I'm going to go to Daniel. Do I go Gabriel and go and just hit an evil enhancement from their deck? I could go Michael, but Michael can't ban to Lord's Army and Daniel's Guardian. So it's really just a matter of who do I want to finish with. Meshach is a great option for turn one because it would go Daniel's Guardian to Meshach. I don't get the draw if I go to Ancient of Days. There's a lot. This deck is very complex. So if I want to maximize my Ancient of Days and just say, hey, I'm going to stick to the game plan, I'm going to go to Ancient of Days, then I grab Michael, I put down Lord's Army, and then I just go straight into a captain, and I get to draw two. I get to go Daniel's Guardian. I get to flip them into Daniel, and then Daniel gets to ban two Eternal Believers, and then Eternal Believers grabs, and then before they block, I would just play Ancient of Days. I get to reveal three. We almost whiffed. So I do take one, and because I took one, I get to repeat it. So right now, like, that's not good metrics, but that's what happens when you use Ancient of Days early if you don't have a ton of Daniel cards. So total, we still got 4. That's the minimum that we're looking at. And that's good, and we still got a Bound in Battle, so we have all this happening, and we could always Bound in Battle Lord's Army. So I think it's a good rescue up front. 3-hero band. Really depends on how they block here. If we need to negate evil cards, then we would. I don't know why I said I would activate Idol and Nevi afterwards. That should have been active. I should have used that up front and had that active for next turn and grabbed the Overseer. That was a miss on my part. But like I said, that's what happens when you start overthinking and talking. I think Overseer's in my hand. So I would take... I would have taken Nurg because he's not... There he is. Because he's not a Daniel card. Stupid on my part. Stupid. But we're in a really good spot. We got Son of God. We used 2 dominants. We're set up really well. We have big draws. We got Idol and Nevi up and Babylon down. We got Merchants down and Overseer. That's how it should have been. So now they have to discard a card from their hand or capture their human next turn. My evil capture abilities cannot be prevented. That's big. And then, oh, I never put Oath of Purity in here. That's what I was talking about for Moses, for 6-7, for, sorry, I was hanging out with my nephews a bunch lately. For, if I need to put these guys back down, when I put down Moses to make them CBP. So we're going to have to, Capitan, sorry, Captain Sword, you are Oath of Purity. So if that comes up, we'll just, and that's what I do when I'm deck building. I go through and I goldfish and just start seeing things, and I make tweaks to my deck as I'm goldfishing. Usually it's reserve stuff. So what we can do is I think we can new deck Oath of Purity, and we can load that to my Land of Redemption. Yep. Jaden talked about it on his channel. When like something messes up, you could always load something differently. Bring in those cards and load them somewhere else and keep everything intact. So now I have Oath of Purity in here. Voila, and I still keep my testing going. So I have all that down. I'm good. I'm in a really good spot. If they search triggered, and if I capture their their hero, I get to capture another hero. That's really good, especially against Joshua and Daniel and 2 arrows, like green silver stuff, and nativity, anything with where angels are supporting or split 50-50 with humans. If I can capture their human hero, I can then capture a hero, being an angel. So it's a 2-for-1 if they search. That is crazy strong. I don't know why Babylonians aren't played right now by a lot of people. So we have all this down. Yeah, this doesn't really do anything in my deck. So, you can only get rid of 2. Anyway, we do have ROP already, which is really strong. We have Toss the Next with an interrupt capture a bunch. And even if they have a big band and it's all like 1 or 2 brigades, I can still capture 2 of them in battle. And then Overseer kicks in and captures the 3rd. Now, if I don't have initiative, or if I have initiative and I'm tossing the next, then they're in SI, I'm tossing the next, and Overseer is putting them in SI. And all this stuff is CBP. And when I drop Wicked, it's all CBP and ROP, which is extremely important this year. We give you tools. We make some strong offenses and give you tools. So now it's upkeep, and idol is active, and so they would have to discard a card from hand or capture their human. Now, Overseer would not trigger off of that because it's not your Babylonian. And I'm really big on artifacts working even when they don't work. Like, we're always going to see negate neutrals until they're rotated out, and we're still going to see different types of negate neutrals. So if your artifacts are negated, I'm creating ways to where they still matter. They still work. All right, be honest, I hit the pause button and forgot where I was at. Oh yeah, I'm making artifacts to where they still work even if they're negated. So now it would be my turn. They would have to discard a card from their hand or capture their human. If they play anything with negated in the special ability, I get to capture human hero. So it's my upkeep, so they would have to do Babylon first. If I want to keep idle up, I just take an evil Babylonian from deck. That's really good. I have a lot of good works here. Overseer I use extensively. I love Overseer. I put you in SI with Overseer. So I'll come in with King's Henchman, blocking another Babylonians in play. You may capture a human in the territory. So I come in, I capture a human in a territory. And since I capture a hero, I get to capture a hero. So what I did was I just hit your territory, and now I put your hero that's in battle. I put the lone hero in SI. Like, this immediately puts Jeremiah into SI or stuff like that. And it's also negating heroes. So really good stuff there. There's other stuff that I talk about with what Kyle's doing with Babylonians, with A-Bomb and Bell's 1K and stuff. That's stuff that I think is really good that should be in the deck. I just don't have it in here because that's his thing. I don't want to show all that. Okay, so from here, Victorious Being can go to Otto or Gabriel. And we have Angel Chariots. And we have Buckler. So Buckler can get out Michael. And then when we look at the band, like, how do we want to do this? If we want to end our band here, then we don't get Victorious Being if we look at it that way. The other thing we can do, and this is why I like the deck so much, is I can go Victorious Being, and as long as I don't draw into Gabriel, and even if I did, it doesn't matter. If I drew into Gabriel, I could draw one, go into Otto. Otto can go to Joshua. Joshua can flip back to Captain. And I could still do that right now. I can just, Joshua, he could grab something, go to Captain. Captain could go to Michael. But what I'm doing this way, I now get to discard an Evil Enhancement from their deck. He bans to Daniel. Daniel bans to Michael. And then I do it this way. And now I have all that. Captain comes in, I get to draw 2. And then I get to negate an evil card. I have to pick my ban target, but then my weapon comes in. I get to negate another evil card. I can draw 2. And then this guy comes in. And then there's nothing else I want to ban to, so I can just take a good Daniel card from deck. And then Captain has CBN protection. And then he top decks these 4 if anything happens to him. So the only thing that could really happen to someone is Lord's Army. So that would be my whole attack right here. And I do, if I wanted, I could always just negate evil cards. I can't really do anything. I can't bring him back. I didn't draw into auto. What would have been freaking sweet is if I drew into auto. That would have been awesome. And hey, it's my channel. We can just act like we did, right? And we can put this guy back here. And we can just say I drew into auto instead of Victorious Being. So if they block and do something, I could ban my Lord's Army, can ban to auto, and then I can negate evil cards in battle, and I can exchange to Joshua, and Joshua can grab if I need an ROP enhancement. If they block me with like a Herod or something, then I can grab Joshua's command. And now remember, Gabriel's hitting their deck. So now if they have protection against me, then I can just negate and discard an evil card and take an evil card from a deck. So I'm sniping their enhancements. I can just go and snipe another enhancement. They're not going to be able to block. That's where I say it's like a lot about thinking outside the box. Now I have everything down. And the only other thing, like I have Nurg and Swift Horses, which is absolutely phenomenal. Because with Nebby, Nebby has the toss too. Swift Horses is phenomenal right now. If you're playing Babs, you need to play it. And I have 2 really good characters for it. OT capture abilities and weapon used by this card cannot be negated. And then, of course, I have the toss the next. This is a draw 2. Like I always have Babylonians down. If 2 or more good brigades are in battle, Daniel the Apocalyptus, Joshua offenses, Nativity, really anything with clay usually, a lot of these GOC offenses, New Testament gold, silver. So there's a lot of offenses right now where there are 2 brigades in battle. And I just put this down. They have to negate this. So now you have to deal with Swift Horses or you have to attack differently. Plus I still have Bad Merchants, Overseer. I'm hitting your deck every turn. And I'm going and hitting your hand, and I have a CBN counter right here as well. So if you play Simon, choose the blocker, play AOC, I capture Simon. So if I get to come out and play first against you, what I play is CBN. Also, I have Wicked Lost Soul, so what I play could be, never mind, Swift Horses would be the ROP. But yeah, having the ability to play first CBN is crazy, or just Nebuchadnezzar tossing the next, and then draw 2, playing Head of Gold is phenomenal. And why is Head of Gold so good? Because it's X characters. So if I have 3-4 characters down, and I play Head of Gold, and I capture their selected humans and underdeck the selected non, well, I get the additional trigger off Overseer, and I could just about wipe your territory with 1 card that's a play first CBN. It's very, very good. So they would have to do something about Swift Horses or not attack with 2 brigades. It just makes it really tough. If I really wanted to, then I could probably do something with like... no, I couldn't. I'm trying to think like converting and stuff, but it's got to be in battle. But either way, Swift Horses is in a good spot. Roman Horses is in a great spot right now. So that's another one. So yeah, that's about it. If they attack, what I like about there's Henchmen. If blocking another Babylonians play, you may capture human territory. That triggers Overseer. And then I still get to either draw 2 or take an Evil Daniel card from reserve. I'll say Kyle talks about Told to Take. He likes that card. I get to capture human, which triggers overseer, and then I get to band. Um, so if I abandon Nebby and this guy, like that's really good. Getting to toss the next, getting the draw two, getting the potential to play. There's a lot of other people that you can come in and ban to, like the Depraved, like Nebby the Depraved, bringing them in. Just the Depraved doesn't really work for this deck for me. I do a lot of brigades. Don't forget your upkeep. If I want, idle a Nebby, assuming it works. I get my last guy down, or I take my last guy. As of this, I don't have Storehouse. I never got Book of the Covenant. I underdecked those, and then just, even though I shuffled, never really got them back. But we can say, is we can act like we did. That would put Ashpenaz back. And if I wanted to, I could go to Moses, and that would turn off my merchants because Moses would come in, interrupt, and then prevent. So I would have to re-trigger them with Babylon, meaning I would have to go into battle with them, or I'd have to wait a turn and bounce them and play them again. So it's really just a matter of what I want. I don't have Angel Under the Oak, but what I could do Covenant of Prayer and get Joshua's sword out and just have Joshua in this huge band, and just wreck their territory if I wanted. I could just Covenant of Prayer, take Joshua's sword. I'm not going to draw into Angel of the Oak because he's in my reserve. So it's just a matter of, hey, you know what? Let's grab Moses and let's just put the big guy down. And then we go into this huge band. Moses is down. It's a lot. You're going to have to move it up here so you can see. And then an OT Angel. I mean, all this is, you got to do it in the right order. But first it would be Gabriel, discard. I don't use 3 woes in here because I have Joshua's sword. But mostly it's because I like my dominance. I like having the Ancient of Days in here. That was 3 woes. So kind of crazy. I know 3 woes should always be in a deck. Same with Humble, right? I would never make a deck without it. Right, Jaden? So, but with Joshua's sword in here, usually I get Storehouse or Book of the Covenant earlier, and I just snag Joshua's sword and kind of walk through why that's important if you have protection. But Daniel really negates a lot of your protection too, to where I can just kind of walk in. And if you have crowds, So Gabriel would come through, and I could always flip this around if needed. Like I could put Gabriel after Daniel. Like I could do Michael, Daniel, Gabriel, like that if I need to negate fortresses first and negate their protect fortresses, and then I could discard a evil enhancement from their deck. So Michael comes in, does this. Daniel, first I would get Captain. He's now a draw 3. He negates an evil card, then he negates an evil card, then he draws 2. I do get tokens off that. You just get in the habit of doing all this. And then Joshua, he can take a card from reserve, a Joshua card. I can take Joshua's sword knowing I have plenty of battle winners. But I'm not going to use Joshua's sword right now, so you kind of make sure you have an ROP enhancement for Joshua. He bans the Lord Army. You go to Abednego, you can reveal the top, and you can send that to the bottom, you wish. And top deck Prayer over Power, and then I can draw draw 3. And I really have everything I could ever want here, Lost Souls are protected. Lost Souls are protected. Dominants are restricted. I do have regardless of protection enhancements. I'm negating a bunch of their evil cards up front. I'm negating fortresses. I'm negating evil characters. I'm negating I'm negating New Testament enhancements. Hands, decks, and reserves are protected from opponent. Their fortresses don't work. All of this goes back on top if needed. There's not many offenses that or defenses that are blocking this, and they have to have CBN enhancements. If it's CBP, I'm negating. And that's without the treasured. So I'm still wondering, is treasured better? Like, is all this being protected a better rescue? And I'm thinking with this deck, yes. I think Daniel the Treasured is better. Victorious Being could also go get him. Daniel the Treasured is better because I have Joshua and Joshua's sword to take out Herod's temple. So, and maybe 3 woes would come back in. But, yeah, I mean, they're not really. And then next turn, I'm walking in with a Faith Unbowed. I don't need any of this. I really don't need that. I could put down Daniel's Guardian. We have enhancements. We can put enhancements back if we're not going to use God is with us. Anna Bendigo gets stuff, so we can put back our enhancements. That's why this storehouse is in here. Because I have Covenant of Prayer, Jedua messes with me. I like this storehouse right now with all this drawing. So we have a bunch of good stuff. I would put... it wouldn't matter. I'd keep my CBN and reserve that. So yeah, it's a very, very good offense, and really what it stemmed from all sorts of stuff. But when Jaden showed the video yesterday, and it was like that Joshua Daniel mix, I had been cooking up this for a while, and really just trying to piece it together with, is it Ancient of Days? What should I do? What's the best version? I still don't know. That's the beauty of times to come, is there's so many just versions of decks right there, because you have Greeks and Persians and Babs with Ancient of Days, and how do you play your Daniel offense? What else do you use? I do not think you should be banding Michael to Gabriel to something else. I think it should be an OT Angel and something different. I love restricting Evil Dominance. Like, this helps with 100-card decks. And you just have a ton of things that they have to answer. And even these 100-card decks, I'd be pressed with that working. So yeah, that's everything. It was a lot all at once, as always. But I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll get this video out today. I'll try to be a little bit more on top of it for content. Just been busy with all that stuff I told you about. So I'll try to do at least a video a month. So appreciate y'all, and I will hopefully talk to you soon.